Jared Cannonier, what's up, man? It's been a little while since we heard from you. You fought a few weeks ago, a little less than a month. How you holding up?
I holds up pretty good, Had surgery on my arm after the fight, a week after the fight actually, so it was pretty quick. So I'm on the mend at this point in time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're here cornering your friend, your training partner, Benson Henderson. How's he looking this camp? You expect big things out of him tomorrow night against Jason Jackson?
Always, Ben is always in shape, always ready to go. This is a short notice. I think he got this call 4 weeks. So he actually got the call when he was in Abu Dhabi with me, cornering me for my fight. So here I am reciprocating the deed.
Yeah, returning the favor. And
Yeah.
let's talk about your arm a little bit. Or just that whole experience, the Whitaker fight. First kick of the fight, right? Isn't that what you said?
The first head kick.
Her first head kick. And I mean, as a fighter, you go in there, you're in this big fight, one of the biggest fights of your career, and you have this game plan. Something like that happens. I mean, what goes through your mind when you feel what's going on with your arm?
Initially, I knew I had messed up by the way I blocked the kick, like by extending my frame, by framing out. And I took all the kick in that one arm, So at first I thought to myself, I can't do that. That's how you break your arm. And then I opened and closed my hand and felt the movement in there and then knew for sure. It pretty much confirmed, what happened. So after that assessment, it was like microseconds of an assessment. And after that, it was, all right, what can I do to get this win?
Yeah.
For me, I think the big problem was I'm accustomed to using my hands a lot and using both hands in conjunction with each other. And I guess that sort of, I don't want to say this, I guess you can say it disabled me, having one hand, but just being able to, having to be out there and be handicapped at the same time. It's not my first time being injured in a fight. I broke my hand in a fight before, and I went on to finish that fight. So I know it was possible, so, that was my whole thing, and I just wasn't gonna let the man win because I got a boo-boo on my arm, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it was a good experience nonetheless. Wish it wouldn't have been, under those circumstances, but it was still a good experience.
So when you're in there and you realize that your arm, something's wrong with it, I mean, do you have to change what you're doing, or do you just try to do the normal stuff that you do, but you just can't? Like, is it kind of a combination? Or?
Well, you don't really train for, hey, if you get injured in a fight, how are we going to fight?
Right, yeah.
It doesn't really come to mind. It didn't before this, at least. So it's hard to come up with a plan B right on the fly, That's why it's good to communicate with your corners and incorporate their minds into what needs to be done. One thing I learned from this, I got to try to signal to my corner more, And for me, I think during the fight, I was reluctant to outright tell them, hey, my arm is jacked up, because I didn't want anybody else picking it up. So, that it is what it is, a lesson to learn from.
Yep.
As far as being in there, handicapped, it was it just changed, for me, it just changed the way I approached the equation, is the best way I can put it. We're trying to break this man down and figure out how can I beat him as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible.
Yep.
So it made me sort of hesitant to really engage, because I know I wouldn't have been able to follow up with consecutive or successive hand strikes, if you will. So, it just helps me. For me, the experience will help me adapt, learn to use my legs more effectively. What I'm saying? I've ended a fight with leg kicks before, but, kicks to the head, all it takes is one kick to the head to end the fight, or one kick to the right organ in the body. So just different things I've been thinking about since the fight. Really being more apt or being more able to incorporate elbows more, I wear elbow pads in sparring, and I'm always thinking about I need to be able to throw elbow pads, because yet again I've injured my hand in combat, and I finished the fight with elbows. So lessons to learn, man.
Yep.
These are just all lessons that I'm learning.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Every fight, I think you guys learn a little bit about yourself, or a lot of bit about yourself. Did the way that it went down make it any less difficult to deal with? Like, was there something to hang your hat on? Like, hey, I broke my arm in the first kick and I hung in there with the former champ for 3 rounds, or is it just,
Those are all things, we can gain energy from, what I'm saying, motivation from, inspiration from. Again, I don't like to play into my ego, so I don't tap into that side of things. For me, mostly it's a learning experience. I'm happy that it went all 3 rounds, I was able to hurt him a little bit in there. I was able to weather his grappling, whenever it presented itself. And I felt able to win that fight, even with the injury. I felt like I'm able to win this fight.
Yes.
So I don't know, that's just me, I know I'm able to win any fight, and being injured didn't really deter that fact from me. I just had to figure out another way to make it happen.
And, I'm sure being back here in the States, you're dealing with recovery and everything. Have you had surgery on it, or are you going to have surgery? Or?
I did have surgery on it. The UFC takes very good care of its athletes in that regard. I got back a week later. I was having surgery. So I'm really happy with that process. Again, 2020 must not have been my year, because at the beginning of the year I tore my pec, and now here we are with this thing. But the good thing that really come out of it is where I do my physical therapy at. Again, Al Escobar, Air's Physical Therapy, is the man. It's a different wrinkle to my strength and conditioning regimen, because Jared Aki at the lab, who we have at the lab, he's our secret weapon at the lab. You know what I'm saying? He makes sure you have to be lab ready. You know what I'm saying? We're not fight ready. We're lab ready. You know what I'm saying? So we're in there, and Jared gets us right. You know what I'm saying? But adding that different approach to strength and conditioning. He's a physical therapist. He's able to apply his experiences to what I do as an athlete. His son and his daughter are both athletes, and he just knows how to apply his knowledge to what I do specifically. So it's gonna be, this recovery is gonna be really good. The recovery from the pec tear was really good. So again, I'm only expecting to come back better than ever, and we saw how well I did against the former champion with one arm, you know what I'm saying? So when I get back, it's going to be even better. I can always make that promise, and I'm going to always deliver on that.
For sure. And all those the expert people that you're talking about that are looking after you with this injury, have they given you any sort of idea of like a timeline or something where you could be back?
As far as stepping in the octagon and fighting, I got a possible maybe March, but I don't plan on fighting in March. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's any matchmaking that's going on before here and there. I expect when I come back to be in a position to be right where I was, you know what I'm saying, right where I left off. One more fight earns me a title, title shot. So again, that's the goal, to get that title belt. That belt's going to be mine. This is only a bump in the road, a speed bump that I went over a little too fast, maybe.
For sure. Is there anybody like out there when you look at the rankings where you're like, this matchup or these couple of guys interest me that could be that fight to get me that number 1 contender? I know Darren Till's not booked. He's going to be coming back in March, he said, around that time. Yeah. Looking at you in the rankings, you got Costa, Derek Brunson, Yoel.
Of course, Costa. Darren Till, all those guys, all the top 10 guys are making moves to get into the position to get a shot at the title. So, like you said, Darren Till, Brunson, Uriah Hall is in there. You know what I'm saying? He just had a pretty good win. He's got a good. I just saw he's getting scheduled to fight Chris Weidman. Yeah. That's definitely a fight that will get him there, and definitely get Weidman right back in the direction of the title as well. So it's a lot of things happening. Again, it's unfortunate that I'm in the position I am, and I have to take a step back yet again. So luckily, this isn't going to be as long as a recovery. Again, at Ayers Physical Therapy, we're going to do the recovery right, and I'm going to come back, and the arm isn't going to be an issue. I'm sure everybody's going to ask about it, but the arm is not going to be an issue. I have complete faith in the people around me. So Al's going to get me right. Jared's going to get me right. The guys at the lab are going to get me right. So when I get back, it's going to be a better version of what you guys saw and would have potentially seen October 24th. So I'm only excited for what's potentially going to happen in the future. But again, in the present, I do everything I have to do to make that happen.
Awesome, man. Well, I wish you the best of luck with your recovery. Whenever that is that we see you back, I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate the time, man.
Already, man. I can't wait to get back. Thank you.